I always thought that the most important thing in marriage was love and mutual respect. But life, or rather my husband's daughter from his first marriage, taught me that sometimes you have to fight not just for happiness, but for simple justice, even if it means revealing a terrible, ugly truth. My name is Lena. I'm 45, and I've been married to Michael for 10 wonderful years. He is 50. We met when we were both just over 30 in a small local art gallery. We stood in front of the same painting for a long time, and then started talking. It was an instant connection, as if we had known each other for 100 years. He asked me out, and with each date, this feeling only grew stronger. My childhood was not easy. I am the eldest of 3 children, and our family always struggled with money. We could only afford fast food on birthdays. My father taught us from childhood to work hard for everything. And I did. I studied hard, got into college on my own, worked as a model to pay for it, so I graduated without any debt. By the time I met Michael, I was already building a career as a junior lawyer. Michael's world was completely different. His family was well off. His father had a good job, so they never worried about money. His parents paid for his college, and thanks to his father's connections, Michael got an internship at a good company. He built his career from there, through his own hard work. Despite coming from different worlds, we were united by a passion for art and music. That's what brought us together. But there was one dark cloud in our sky from the very beginning. His daughter, Candace, from his first marriage. She never accepted me. From our first meeting, she was cold, avoided conversation, and seemed to blame me for her parents' divorce, even though Michael and I met long after he and his ex-wife, Amelia, had separated. I understood her pain and tried to give her time. For context, Michael and Amelia were married for only 3 years. They met in college and got married young. But after the wedding, everything went wrong. She was a homemaker, and Michael worked hard to provide. Once, he returned from a business trip earlier than planned and found her in their bed with his best friend, Tom. That day, Michael lost both his wife and his best friend. Amelia's betrayal shattered him. The divorce was bitter and long, primarily because Amelia fought tooth and nail for the house, even though it was Michael's. The disputes escalated into an exhausting battle for custody of Candace. Due to Amelia's infidelity, the court did not award her the house, but granted them joint custody, so Candace could maintain a relationship with both parents. Amelia's bitterness over losing the house only grew over the years, and she began to manipulate Candace, turning her against her father. Michael, wanting to protect his daughter from the ugly details, never told her about her mother's affair. He told me all this when we started dating, and I appreciated his honesty. Once, hoping to bring us closer, he invited Candace on a trip to Africa with us. I was optimistic, thinking it could be a breakthrough, but the trip was a disaster. Candace was constantly irritated with me, had outbursts of anger, and insulted me, calling me a gold digger every time I got close to Michael. He scolded her, but she just smirked, making it clear she would never accept me. Despite this, our love was strong, and I was ready to go through it all with him. After a whirlwind romance, we got married in a small ceremony with close friends and family. We were incredibly happy. Amelia and Candace, despite being invited, did not come. Our marriage was wonderful at first. We traveled, worked hard. I was passionate about my career and had no intention of giving it up. Meanwhile, Amelia lived with Tom after the divorce. Candace had her own apartment, bought by Michael, and worked as a social media manager at a reputable company. 3 years into our marriage, we were overjoyed to learn I was pregnant with our son. But the pregnancy was difficult, and Candace's visits made it even harder. In Michael's absence, she made cruel, unnecessary comments about my weight and appearance, saying he would leave me because I had become a fat cow. It hurt me deeply. When I told Michael, he decided Candace would no longer come to our house. They started meeting in cafes to spare me the stress. When our son, Nick, was born, we were over the moon. Despite becoming a mother, I was determined to continue working, so we hired a nanny. After my maternity leave, I happily returned to work. I valued my financial independence. If Candace had problems with me before, after Nick's birth, they only intensified. At the rare family gatherings we organized, she would pick on Nick, trying to bully him, until he ran to us in tears. I could understand her hatred for me, but I would not allow her to take it out on our innocent boy. I forbade her from coming to our house. From then on, we stopped hosting family holidays altogether. Now to the main story. As we got older, Michael and I realized how important it was to plan for the future. We decided to make wills to put our affairs in order. Considering Michael had already bought an apartment for Candace, he named me and our son as the heirs to our family home. The remainder of his assets, money, and personal savings would go to Candace. I, in turn, had my own assets that I planned to leave to our son to ensure his future. We both believed this was the right decision to secure our family's future. When Amelia and Candace found out about the will, all hell broke loose. I'm not sure if Michael told them or his parents did, but they were furious. Amelia called Michael, demanding the house go to them because she was his first wife. But he stood his ground. He reminded her that he had always taken care of Candace, paying child support, covering college, buying her an apartment. He said he would continue to provide for her future, but the house would go to our son. This infuriated Amelia even more, as she sent me a long, abusive message, calling me every name in the book. I showed it to Michael, and he asked me not to respond and to block her immediately. The next day, Candace showed up at our doorstep, clearly upset. I knew it was about the will. To avoid a scene, I quickly arranged for my parents to take Nick out. When we were alone, Candace got straight to the point. She insisted that Nick and I should give up the house because as Michael's firstborn, she had the right to it. Despite my irritation, I remained silent and let Michael handle it. He explained to his daughter that he had always given her everything she needed in life. He assured her he would leave her his savings. But he also had an obligation to care for me and our son. And since he was married to me, leaving the family home to us was his way of ensuring our security. Candace turned to me and said she expected me to make the right decision. I calmly voiced my support for my husband's decision, which enraged her even more. She raised her voice and threatened to sue me. Not wanting to escalate the conflict, I asked her to leave us alone. As expected, a few weeks later, I received a summons. Candace and Amelia had filed a lawsuit against me over the property. The accusations claimed I married Michael for his money and manipulated him to take their family home. Michael and I consulted our lawyer, who assured us that Candace and Amelia had no serious legal grounds for their claims. But despite his confidence, I couldn't shake the anxiety, especially because I didn't want our son dragged into this drama. As the court date approached, the tension in our home grew. In court, Amelia's lawyer was ruthless, trying to prove that Michael was obligated to put his first daughter, Candace, above everyone else. Their arguments aimed to force a full jury trial to establish property rights. Since we lived in Colorado, the system did require a jury trial, which complicated things further. The impending trial kept Michael and me on edge, especially because Amelia's lawyer used dirty tactics, digging into our past to use against us. Our lawyer did his best, but the situation was extremely stressful. At that moment, we unexpectedly received a call from Tom, who insisted on meeting at our place. Since the day Michael caught him with Amelia, he had cut all ties and didn't want to see him, but I convinced Michael to hear him out. Perhaps it could help resolve the dispute faster. When Tom arrived, we half expected it to be another move by Amelia's lawyer to undermine our case. However, to our surprise, Tom came with a different purpose: to talk. He confessed he had to tell Michael something extremely difficult. Michael sat motionless as Tom admitted that Amelia had been having an affair with him behind Michael's back for a very long time, and their romance began even before she got pregnant. I held my breath as he continued and revealed the shocking truth. When Amelia became pregnant, she confessed to him that she believed the child was actually his. But since Michael's financial situation was much more stable, she decided to hide the truth and stayed in the marriage. Tom begged her to tell Michael who the real father was, but she always refused. I couldn't believe Amelia had managed to hide this for so many years and still had the audacity to fight for the house, knowing she was hiding such a monstrous secret from Michael. It was incomprehensible how she maintained this lie for years, destroying our family. Tom explained he had remained silent all these years because he thought she truly loved him. But seeing the suffering we were going through because of the lawsuit, he finally saw her for who she really was. He broke down in tears, begging Michael for forgiveness. Michael sat in shock while I boiled with anger and despair, watching my husband's torment. The man who believed Candace was his daughter all his life now heard it was all a lie. I had chosen to remain silent before when Amelia and Candace were rude to me, wanting to preserve some semblance of normalcy. But now that the truth was out, there was no point in continuing this charade. I immediately contacted our lawyer and gave him Tom's confession. He explained that for our words to carry weight in court, we needed concrete evidence, like a DNA test. So, we invited Candace to dinner under the pretext of wanting to talk. The plan was simple: discreetly take her glass or spoon for analysis to strengthen our position. Candace, though surprised, agreed to come. She behaved as rudely as always, continuing to belittle me and my son. She was confident that she and her mother would win the case and mocked that I would soon lose everything. I chose not to react, hoping this would be the last time we had to endure her antics. After she left, we immediately contacted our lawyer to take her cup for DNA testing. On the day we were to appear in court, we received confirmation. Tom's confession was true. Candace was indeed his daughter. I sighed with relief, but also felt deep compassion for my husband, who had been dragged into this web of lies and manipulations by his ex-wife. I told our lawyer I was ready to testify and tell our side of the story. He agreed it was the best course of action. Standing before the jury, I experienced a whirlwind of emotions. Anger at Amelia for her deception, pity for Michael, and determination to protect my family's rights. I gathered my thoughts and began answering our lawyer's questions. We touched on my past, my career, how I never quit working even after marriage. I told them about the years of moral torture, ridicule, and humiliation I endured from Amelia and Candace. We provided screenshots as proof. I explained that Candace never accepted me and even refused to come to our wedding. After our son was born, she verbally abused him as well. Then, I revealed Tom's confession to the jury, told them how he learned who Candace's real father was, and about the dirty secret Amelia had hidden for so many years. Candace looked at me with disbelief, and I saw her frantically whispering with her lawyer. Our lawyer presented the DNA test results, confirming my words. I looked at Amelia's face with a sense of grim satisfaction, knowing she could no longer escape the truth. Candace looked as if her world was collapsing before her eyes, just as ours had when we first learned the truth. The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric. Everything became clear. Amelia and Candace no longer had any grounds for their claims. Amelia looked broken, and Candace, who had been so confidently marching toward victory, now faced the consequences of her mother's lies. Their lawyer had nothing left to fight for. Fortunately, the jury didn't need much time to reach a verdict. The judge announced, "The inheritance in the form of the family home passes to the defendant, as Michael always intended." The jury recognized that Candace and Amelia had no legal rights to it. After the trial, we received mixed reactions from friends and family. Most understood our situation and agreed we did the right thing. But some thought it was cruel to reveal the truth and ruin Candace's life. So I'm writing here to ask your opinion. Do you think I did the wrong thing by refusing to share the property with my stepdaughter and, ultimately, by revealing the whole truth in court instead of telling her privately? Let me know in the comments. I think she acted absolutely correctly, given how horribly Amelia behaved all along. It's one thing if she had accepted her father's new marriage, but it's another when it was pure hostility. I believe even if it hadn't been revealed that Candace wasn't Michael's daughter, the original was quite fair. Candace got a harsh life lesson. I hope she realizes this strategy doesn't work well. Now, an update. 3 days after my last update, I read all your comments. Many of you think Candace might have known about her mother's lie, but I doubt it. I saw her face in court when the DNA results were announced. Winning the lawsuit lifted a huge burden off me. I decided not to dwell on negative relatives who think we were wrong. We didn't drag ourselves to court. Amelia and Candace did. We just revealed the truth. Now I'm no longer worried about the future. However, I'm most concerned about my husband. Michael is still in shock from learning the truth about Candace's father. His world has been turned upside down. Since he found out she is not his daughter, he barely eats or sleeps. I can't even imagine the pain he's going through. Amelia put him through hell during the divorce, and now, finding out Tom is Candace's father, he simply doesn't know how to live with it. Tom not only slept with his wife, but is also the biological father of his first child. I suggested Michael see a therapist, and he starts next week. Another update, 1 month later. We have somewhat recovered. My husband is regularly attending therapy. I see he's getting better, but it will take time. Unexpectedly, last week, Candace reached out to us. Honestly, we thought she would never want to talk to us again. She called to apologize for what we went through. I wasn't sure if it was sincere or if she was just angry with her mother, but I didn't delve into it. Candace admitted she always envied me, thinking I had taken her father away. She admitted she hated me, which I already knew. She believed her father had cheated on her mother. But during the trial, when the truth came out and it was revealed that Amelia had cheated, she realized she had been living a lie her whole life. She begged Michael not to leave her life, and he assured her he would always be her father, no matter who her biological parent was. This brought her to tears. It seemed that was the confirmation she lacked. Candace also apologized to me for how she treated me and said she hoped I could forgive her someday. I didn't pretend everything was okay because it wasn't, and I need time before I can be in the same room with her calmly. Lately, I've been focusing on our family and our son. During the trial, I couldn't give him much attention, so I'm planning a secret family vacation to relax and celebrate. I hope this trip helps us recover. Final update, 3 months later. Amelia showed up on our doorstep. I was hesitant to let her in, but I was afraid the neighbors would hear the possible screaming. Reluctantly, we let her in, but made it clear any hysterics would end with a call to the police. Amelia said Tom had left her and asked her to move out of his house by the end of the month. In tears, she admitted he no longer wanted to marry her. She had nowhere to go and wanted to move in with Candace, who was categorically against it. We learned that after the trial, Candace cut off all contact with her mother, accusing her of manipulation. Amelia came only to ask us to talk to Candace and convince her to let her mother move in. Before I could say anything, for the first time, I saw my husband lose his temper. He firmly told Amelia that he bought the apartment exclusively for Candace, and the decision to let her in was solely up to his daughter. He reminded her that Amelia had never even apologized for the affair and now expected our help. He said he was glad Tom finally saw the truth and left her. Amelia tried to justify herself, saying she was afraid she would be kicked out of the house when she was pregnant if she told Michael the truth then. But I couldn't listen to her excuses anymore and asked her to leave. We gave her a chance to explain, and there was no point in continuing the conversation. After Amelia left, Michael contacted Candace to warn her. If her mother managed to get into the apartment, it would be impossible to evict her later. Candace assured him she would never allow that. She was going to change the locks and officially tell her mother she was not needed. As for me, I'm tired of all this drama. Lately, Michael and I have been discussing the possibility of selling our house and moving to another state to finally escape all this. I emphasize that for the sake of our son and our marriage, we need to seriously consider this step. And although the decision is difficult, Michael has come to terms with it, especially after Amelia's unexpected visit showed that we could expect no peace from her. Moving away from this city seems like the best way out. Michael's job allows him to work remotely, and I am ready to start over at a new company if it helps us find happiness away from these toxic people. Next month, we will start the process of selling our house, and hopefully by the end of the year, we will begin a new life elsewhere. It's time to turn this page and start over. And that's the whole story. Candace did get to keep the apartment, although, in my opinion, Michael shouldn't have let her keep it. Yes, it may seem heartless, but he was also deceived. And in the end, it feels like Amelia partially achieved her goals. Her daughter still got an apartment, which is probably more than she would have gotten from Tom. Maybe she'll even sue Tom for something for her daughter. So, it's a moral dilemma. What would you do in Michael's place? Write in the comments. And thank you for listening to this story to the end. Check out our previous video, which you'll see right here. And be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for some reason. Hit the like button if this story touched you. And tell us in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Goodbye and good luck.